La Tête d'Or is the new king of the city's great American steakhouses. At least that's what the New York Post says. But you might need to be a king to actually dine there because it is easily one of the most expensive as well. How much? Well, this prime rib is about half the size and double the price of the prime rib just up the street at Smith & Wollensky. So let's find out if it's worth it. La Tête d'Or is the first steakhouse from world-renowned French chef Daniel Boulud, who you might know for his 2 Michelin-starred restaurant, Restaurant Daniel, and is named after a park in his home city of Lyon. It opened in November of 2024 in the Flatiron district, almost directly across the street from another steakhouse and one of our favorites in the city, Hawksmoor. Michelin recently announced its addition to their guide and consideration for a star, which would make it the only steakhouse in the city with a Michelin star other than Côte, which is also just a block from here.
The space is opulent and magnificent, with waitstaff dressed in white trimmed suits. It was designed by the Rockwell Group. If you've watched our channel before, I'm sure you'll recognize that name from the number of their restaurants we've previously featured, like Coco Doc, The Corner Store, and The View. It's quite a distinct departure from the authentic and intimate atmosphere at many classic New York City steakhouses. Its soaring 18-foot ceilings make the space feel massive. The tables are well spread out, and the music was a perfect volume for conversation. Even when the restaurant filled up, the noise level never became too loud. And I love that they incorporated a window to the kitchen into the dining space.
The menu evokes traditional American steakhouse with a French flair. Some of the items like the scallop crudo and yellowfin tuna tartare are variations of menu items from Restaurant Daniel, and they've quickly become known for their tableside Caesar salad. Pricing wise, the appetizers and salads are expensive, but fairly consistent with most of the city's steakhouses. Everything else is a lot, to say the least. They offer multiple tiers of caviar service and seafood towers, but the main event is of course the steak. They have 11 different beef offerings, including an 8-ounce bavette from Snake River Farms for $88, which is insane. That's $40 more than the incredible 9-ounce Snake River Farms picanha we had at The View, which is a touristy restaurant in Times Square. And prices from Snake River Farms website have both cuts at nearly identical prices per pound. As much as I'd love to try that, we are going with their famous prime rib made with Scarborough Ranch American Wagyu ribeye for $130 a slice.
The complimentary bread arrived alongside our appetizers. We were deciding between ordering a second steak or a few apps, and our waiter highly recommended we opt for some apps instead. So we went with what he said were their 2 most popular, the yellowfin tuna tartare and the tableside Caesar. But first, the bread. It's a sourdough made with imported French flour and served with a super creamy French butter. It was excellent. Crispy, salty, and the butter was rich and creamy. It's a simpler bread offering, but funny enough, this would not be the only bread course of the meal. Also, it would have been nice if they gave us a little time to enjoy it before presenting the rest of our starters.
According to the menu, the yellowfin tuna tartare comes with tonnato, harissa and citrus, dried olives, and celery. Tonnato is an Italian condiment made with tuna, anchovies, lemon juice, olive oil, garlic, and mayonnaise. So as a whole, there are a lot of ingredients in this dish, but they come together with utter perfection. There was just the right amount of everything. A little tonnato for some extra creaminess, the harissa adds a bit of spice, these small pieces of olives and celery add some appreciated texture, you get a nice freshness from the cilantro and acidity from the citrus. Throw in some exceptional tuna, and you get a super well-rounded app that might have been our favorite dish of the night.
It seems like ages ago that a tableside Caesar was a novelty, but seemingly every major restaurant that opens these days has their own take. This one comes with romaine, parmesan, garlic breadcrumbs, and anchovy dressing. Their secret ingredient is the freshly shaved horseradish. Our waiter said that one of the chefs added it while experimenting with the recipe, and Danielle was so impressed, he said they had to serve it like that. And I definitely think that was the right decision. The horseradish is really the first thing you taste and makes this dish stand out from the many Caesar salads that are out there. The lettuce was crisp and fresh, and the dressing wasn't too acidic. The garlic breadcrumbs added a nice texture, but the flavor was subtle. If we weren't trying the most popular items for the purposes of this video, we probably would have opted for something a little more unique like the scallop crudo or bone marrow instead. It's a great salad, but at the end of the day, it's still a pretty typical Caesar salad.
Soon after we finished, we spotted the trolley on its way to deliver our main. It's a prime rib made from American Wagyu ribeye and marinated for more than 24 hours. It's sliced tableside and served with small sides of creamed spinach and pomme puree, with a peppered popover and chive butter.
We were a bit surprised by the inclusion of the popover with the entree rather than having it as the standard bread offering. It was massive and clearly straight out of the oven. It was fantastic, with a warm, gooey inside and a crispy exterior. The chive butter added a great depth of flavor. We loved both the bread offerings here, but this popover is hard to beat.
First of the included sides were the pomme puree. Pomme puree are a French form of mashed potato that are much smoother and creamier than a typical mashed potato. And these were as smooth and creamy as they come.
The other included side was a small cup of cream spinach. At first glance, their offering looked a lot less creamy than the average cream spinach. You can hardly see the heavy cream, but I can assure you it has just the right amount. It's rich without being over the top and really allows that spinach flavor to take center stage. The portions of the two included sides were of course on the smaller side, but are really meant for one person, in which case they are more than enough. And I really think they were the perfect two sides to include with a prime rib. They were simple, but very satisfying.
We also ordered a side of the roasted Brussels sprouts that come with pomegranate seeds and a balsamic vinaigrette. Even though this was also a pretty simple dish, the contrast between the vibrantly red pomegranate seeds and green leaves make it a beautiful one. The bursts of sweetness you get from the pomegranate complemented the vinaigrette very well, and the Brussels sprouts were crisp without being burnt. Obviously an expensive side at $18, but one we definitely enjoyed.
And finally, our prime rib. Our waiter said since we were the first order of the night, we were lucky enough to also get the end piece, nearly doubling the portion size. He knew we were on the fence about ordering a second steak, so this really worked out perfectly. The prime rib gets seasoned with mustard, rosemary, oregano, sage, garlic, and salt, and marinated overnight.
This is unquestionably a delicious prime rib. It is easily the most tender I have ever had. The fat has almost no chew to it at all. I know melt in your mouth is a completely overused phrase, but the fat on this steak seriously does. I can see why they opted not to accompany it with a typical jus, but that feels so integral to the prime rib experience. Less fatty pieces lacked flavor and saltiness that you would have gotten from a good jus. Again, we were lucky to have gotten the end piece where every single bite has all the delicious seasoning from that crust. Instead of au jus, it comes with two sauces, a bordelaise and a béarnaise. Both were very good, particularly the béarnaise, but I certainly wouldn't want my $130 steak to need a sauce. I can see some people preferring their prime rib this way, but we didn't think the benefits of the expensive cut of meat were worth it in this case.
Every review we've seen on this place has raved about their homemade soft serve ice cream sundaes, which comes in 4 flavors: coffee, chocolate, vanilla, or blackcurrant. Or you could get a swirl of coffee and chocolate or vanilla and blackcurrant. We opted for the coffee and chocolate, and I'm just going to assume we ordered the wrong one. Obviously ours didn't exactly make it to our table looking quite like the ones from TikTok, but melting aside, the ice cream itself was fine. It's a lot thicker and slightly more creamy than your standard soft serve, but the flavors of both the chocolate and coffee were not great. We've had a few coffee flavored desserts recently that tasted exactly like a frozen version of a freshly brewed coffee. This definitely did not. And the chocolate was on the sweeter side, almost like a white chocolate. The toppings were a different story. The brownies and passion fruit marshmallows were outstanding. It seems like a lot of craftsmanship is going into these, and probably a lot of that ridiculous $21 price tag. House-made sprinkles sounds interesting in theory, but really it's just a waste of money. Apparently we're the only people on the internet that didn't love this, but in all honesty, we left wishing we had flagged down a Mr. Softy instead, even though it was literally pouring outside.
Our meal at La Tête was by all means excellent, with some outstanding service and great food. but the price is just not going to be worth it for most people. It's impossible to make a definitive verdict on their steaks based on just one, especially a prime rib. I really would like to try their dry aged ribeye and at Snake River Farms Bavette, but with these prices, we probably won't rush back anytime soon. As always, we'd love to know what you guys have thought of it. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to see more like it, and we'll see you in the next one.